Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Talk Busy with Lizzy podcast. I'm your host, Lizzy, and this week we are back with two special guests. They are a husband wife duo who has created a coffee company, and I'm so excited to share their story. They reached out to me, and I just love it when people reach out to me. It makes me feel so accomplished, I guess. And so I was so excited to have them on and to share their story. So without further ado, let's get into it. What is each of your guys' testimony?
You want to start us out?
Yeah, I can. So just to kind of do it in brief, I growing up kind of just had a very unstable childhood. If that, yeah, that's kind of the best way to put it. I was not a Christian. Neither was like any of my family, to be honest. And my parents had me super young, so growing up, we did not really go to church unless it was with like my grandma. And really in high school, I was wild. I was in a very party girlfriend group, and I was living like a college party girl lifestyle at like 13 years old. So that was really where I was like, Lord, what am I doing with my life? And I don't know if this makes sense, but like the entire time, I somehow just believed in God. Like I knew He was real, even though no one told me that. Like no one introduced me to Jesus or anything like that. But I just had a feeling that like He was with me and He was protecting me. And even with all my crazy mistakes and everything that I was doing, I just felt like He had more for my life. And part of my testimony, like my family, my parents got divorced whenever I was in like elementary school. And then from there, it kind of was just like what I said, chaotic, a little unstable. In brief, some of my parents got into just some not great relationships. So I had seen a lot of that aspect of just like abusive relationships, drug and alcohol abuse at a young age. And so that was also why I was like, what am I doing with my life? I'm straying all over, and just was kind of like reaching for, something to like fuel and heal what I was going through at home. And got to college, and I was like, okay, I'm tired. I have been living the party girl lifestyle for, way too long, and since I was in middle school. So I had started going to a local church that was near my college, and I was going hungover half the time and still just like not in a good place, but I was trying, and I just felt like God was tugging on my heart to go. So once I started going, eventually I started trying to get plugged in and getting into groups. And I think that really was just, I knew if I didn't stop what I was doing now, I don't know if I would have ever became a Christian or turned around and let God be in my life. So I really just was like, I got to go to church. I need something. And so, I got plugged into a group, and that was really what started my walk with Christ. And after that, I finally was like, I'm done. I gave my life to Jesus and got baptized. And ever since, my life has been completely different and changed in the best way. So, that's a little bit about me and my story.
And for me, it's very similar. Kind of grew up in not necessarily a broken home, but a lot of confusion in my house. And just none of my family was Christian growing up, so I didn't have any church upbringing. I probably went to church like 3 times until I was like 24 years old. And most of that was like, going on Christmas or Easter. But really the inflection point of me becoming a Christian was my dad passed away when I was in college, and he died the day after Father's Day. And we were on really, really bad terms. And this was like probably the first time that him and I were on bad enough terms that we weren't talking. And he died pretty tragically at my farm the day after Father's Day. And that kind of, that woke me up to the way I was living. It kind of tore down every aspect of what I thought this world was or who I thought I was. And probably a couple months later, I was at my house. I was living in Lexington, Kentucky at the time in college. And I had this out-of-body experience of kind of like this, like, it reminds me of what people say happens to you after you die, but it's like just showed me my entire life. And it didn't show it from my point of view. It showed it from everyone around me and how I was affecting their life. And it showed me these key points in my life where I was kind of letting the people down around me. And, left, my dad left this world and we were not on good terms. And he was probably the most important person to me. And after that, out of body experience, I kind of was like, what is going on? What was that? What would it, and it completely tore down the idea of who I thought I was. And I realized I needed a change. So I tried everything from like Hinduism to meditation to spiritualism to like New Ageism to like all the isms. And, none of them really did anything for me besides probably boost my ego and made me feel like I knew some like knowledge. They didn't really actually change me at all. And then the only pastor that I knew at the time was my grandma's pastor, and she lived like 4 hours away before she passed away. He ended up moving up to northern Kentucky where we lived and invited my mom and I to church. And we're like, of course, we got to go to church. Like, we haven't seen him in, 10 years. Like, what are the chances he's moving up to a church like 5 minutes from our house from the middle of nowhere, Kentucky? And, at the time, like I still was struggling with so many things and struggling with my identity and struggling with trying to change and just not knowing how to. Honestly, at that point, I was probably more suffering from like hedonism, where I was just, I didn't know what to do, and I was just honestly on the verge of just quitting. Quitting trying to change, quitting trying to be a better person, quitting trying to, find an answer because I just didn't know what to do. But he came into our life and we started going to church. And from that point, I realized that God and Jesus were, not only the only thing that could change me, but they were the missing piece of my heart that I needed my entire life, that I was trying to replace with other things. From that point, ended up starting to go to church regularly. And, God's completely changed my life and every single aspect of my life. That's pretty much my testimony.
Wow, you guys have some really beautiful testimonies of how he's worked through you and in you. And then how did you guys meet each other? Was that before you guys were Christian or after?
That was
That
after.
was after, yeah.
It's actually a crazy story. It was the day that I got baptized, we met. And
oh, wow.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
And I had kind of like what I had said, I'd been in a group and I'd become a Christian at that point, and I was pretty well into my faith for a while, and then I officially got baptized. And I was at work one day. I worked at like a coffee juicery shop, and I was at work, and he came in, and you could tell kind of your side of it, but
so about a month prior, I had gotten out of a bad relationship, and like I said before, I was trying to like fill the gap of where God belongs in my heart with like relationships and like finding love from other people. So I got out of a bad relationship. I was like, all right, God, I have no idea what I'm doing looking for relationships. Like, clearly I'm not good at picking these. I'm going to delete all the dating apps, stop talking to people I was talking to, and just, focus on you, focus on work, and just do the things that you have in front of me. And about a month passes after that prayer, and I had forgotten I had said that. I was on a run at this place that I always ran at, and had this feeling on the way back that I needed to stop and buy somebody flowers. And it was out of the blue, and I always tell everybody, it was like the same feeling you get when you like wake up in the middle of the night and you're like, the stove's on, I got to go turn the stove off. You can't go back to sleep until you turn the stove off. I wanted to keep walking, but I just had this like string attached to me that was leading me to, it's like I was on a leash that I like had to go to this flower shop and buy flowers. So I go over there, and I was like, all right, God, just help me pick out whatever flowers you want. And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing this for. Like, I'll go buy some flowers. And I go and I buy like 8 potted, like, I don't know if they were like dandelion.
They were like wilted
They
flowers.
were like wilted, wilted like house plants that like your mom would get to like plant in her front yard or something. And it wasn't like romantic or anything
Not like
that.
a bouquet or anything.
I was so embarrassed. I was like, all right, God, you're just embarrassing me. Like, why are you doing this? Like, and it was like something I knew it was from God because I just couldn't continue without doing what he was telling me to do. And like the conviction was there, and like just the drive was there, and it was just like a thought that was just popping in my mind. You need to do this. So I was walking back with the flowers, super embarrassed, and I walked by my car, and the same thought came up, and it was like, go get your business card, take out all your information, so it's not flirtatious or anything like that, and write on the back, Jesus loves you. with like an exclamation point and a smiley face.
Yep.
And I end up going into the store, and I'm like a pretty
That's
shy
my work.
person, so I just take these flowers and I'm like, put them on the table, and I'm like, here, these are for you. And I don't say a single word, and I just straight up leave.
Yes. Me and my coworker were looking at each other, and we're like, was he trying to flirt with us? Because that was not flirting. And he just like hands them to me, and I'm like, okay. And so after that, pretty much me and my coworker were like, well, do you want to keep them? Do you? And again, I had gotten baptized that morning. So to preface, it was a Sunday. I got baptized at church that morning. I forgot I had a shift at work. Pretty much went wet hair and all straight to work, and that was whenever you came in and gave me that. And so me and my coworker were like, well, who wants to keep it? So I was like, I'll just plant them at home. I have pots at home. So a couple of days later, I'm taking them out of the like pot thing, and I'm putting them in the pots that I had at home, and I find the note. So I didn't even notice that he had the Jesus loves you note in there, and I was like, oh my gosh, what a cool thing, God. Like, what a coincidence that some random guy just gives me a Jesus loves you note card on the same day I got baptized. Like, that's crazy. And pretty much after that, I forgot about it. I was also dating someone else at the time, and so I just was like, whatever, so cool. What a coincidence. Well, and then after that point, me and this other guy wasn't a thing. I had been praying about that too, and was like, Lord, I'm done with relationships. Whatever you want from me, I'm done. And so we ended things, and a couple months later, I think it might have been like 2 months later maybe, and I had another shift at work, and I go in, and this is crazy, but I literally remember on my way in, because I barely worked in this shop. This was like kind of like a college, like pick up on your summer break type job. So I go into my shift, and I was like, I wonder if I'll ever see that guy again who gave the note. And the same day, I swear, he comes in, and I recognize him, and I was like, oh my word. And so he comes in to get a juice or something, and I asked him, I was like, were you the guy that by chance gave me those flowers? And the Jesus
I completely
loves you
forgot.
note.
I probably wouldn't have come back in if I would have remembered that that's what I had done last month in there.
And I asked him, and he's like, yeah. And I was like, just so you know, like, that was the same day I got baptized. How cool is God? And after that, we
just kind of hit it off.
And you asked me out the next week, and we went on a date, and it was history since.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Oh
just
my gosh,
crazy.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's so cool. And then how long were you guys dating before you got married?
We dated
2 years.
2 years. So
2 years.
yeah, our wedding day was, our 2 years was the day after we got married. So it was like literally exactly 2 years. I think we were engaged a year and a half. Or no, sorry, not. We were dating like a year and a half, and then got engaged a little after a year and a half, and then got married after 2 years.
That's so fun. I love that. Ours will be the same month too. It'll be a little more time, but the 29th will be our 4 years.
No
Wow.
way. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
I mean, we started dating though in high school, so we had to have more time before.
See, that's
getting
very
engaged
understandable. Oh,
Yeah.
that's so
Yeah. And then, thank you. And then, what made you guys want to start a coffee shop?
Honestly,
company?
that's a really good question. You know, we have always been, well, not always been coffee drinkers, but the last few years we've been heavy coffee drinkers. And, you know, we are especially Christ-centered, but we were going to, you know, some of these big coffee companies, I don't want to name them, but we were going to these big coffee companies, and we would leave there feeling like we had, you know, taken drugs or something. We would be anxiety-ridden. Like, we would feel terrible. Our stomachs would hurt. And we're like, this is not good for our body. Like, our bodies are supposed to be our temples. Like, we are putting poison in our bodies. And we were like, we don't really know of any Christian coffee companies either.
There aren't any around us, and I know that there are some in other states, but we were like, you know, we need to have more Christian coffee companies who care about the customer, the consumer, and who also care about, like, the quality of the coffee, the ingredients that are in there, because there are just so many coffee shops that use, like, the sugar pumps or things like that, and those are filled with, like, so many chemicals and things. So it's just, I think that we were going on so many coffee dates, and we were feeling not great after, and we were like, something's got to change. Like, I like my coffee at home more than a lot of shops that we were going to. So that's kind of what brought us to it, and I was a barista at that shop that I had worked at, and so that I already had like a love for coffee, and you were super into health and everything.
Yeah, I think definitely like health, Christianity, and just it's also saved us a ton of money, probably even opening our own coffee company, which sounds outrageous, but it's we really wanted to bring something to people around us and to ourselves that just not only we could drink daily, but incorporated Christ.
Yeah, I think that's so cool, and I've loved seeing your guys' content now that I follow you guys and everything. Do you just want to tell us like a little bit more about the company? Like, when did you start? How's it been going? That kind of thing.
Yeah. So we actually started, which I don't know if I would recommend this to people, but we did start it while we were dating.
Yeah.
So we both kind of felt like it was on our heart, and we did. It was a while into it, but we were like, let's just start it. Let's just do this. We knew we were going to get married at that point, and again, I don't know if I recommend that to everyone, but that was just our story. So we were like, let's just do this thing. So we started very humbly, and we actually our first event was at a
Brewery.
it was a brewery.
Yeah,
it was at
they
a brewery.
like put us in the corner away from everybody.
It was we were like literally in the corner, hidden from everyone, and we just did it. We were like, let's just do it. We had a table. We just set up
like
on
a regular table,
like
a plastic top table with like the legs that like pop out, like nothing special in the slightest.
No, it was definitely not a cute setup at all. But we just were like, let's just do this. We need to just get started.
Yeah. My mom sold jam at the time. We sold more of my mom's jam than we did coffee. That tells you how we started this out.
Yes. And so that was pretty much where we started. But after that, we were like, we really felt on our heart, like, we need to do this. And God just kept opening up doors after that, even if they were embarrassing at first. Yeah. We had decided to do like Friday deliveries because I think I had off work and you.
I think I had
mornings.
Yeah,
off
mornings were off. Yeah.
So we were like, let's just do something in the community to like get people to hear about our name and get people to know us. So we offered $1 deliveries for like a
30-mile radius.
Yeah, like
Wow.
there's some of these for like 40-minute drives for $1.
Yeah.
And we were like, we'll just do $1 delivery so we can like reach as many people as possible, and we'll wake up super early and like we would drive separate and go on these coffee routes to deliver coffee to people's houses, workplaces, whoever ordered. And eventually it reached like a community of like moms and friends and everyone. And we were getting so many orders. We were running ragged like all over the tri-state area from like 7 a.m. to 12 p.m. every Friday. But it was amazing because we really reached our community and met so many awesome people.
I think we probably grew the fastest and the most during that period of time. Which is,
that's really cool.
Yeah, pretty neat.
Yeah, it was cool. We did. Obviously, that ended up not being sustainable long term, just because we were doing so much driving, and it was just
we were not making. We were probably not making.
We
money.
were losing money.
But it was an investment. To just get our name out there and to share coffee and
and we got to meet so many cool people from that, and so that really is what like kickstarted us, and eventually.
Then we had. Kayma's dad built us a cart. Still pretty humble, it's not like we couldn't afford like a really nice cart, so we had a family member make it for us. And then we started finding events to take it to, and we've gone to several fall festivals. And from that we met a lot of really cool people. We've done women's conferences and a ton of different variety of events, but really started humble, which was super good for us. I feel like we learned really valuable lessons that have helped us in like the later stages by starting out so humbly.
That's awesome. You were saying how you don't necessarily recommend starting like a business or anything when you're dating. Were there any struggles that you guys found with like dating and starting a company at the same time?
Good question.
Yeah. I mean, when you're not married, the relationship isn't sealed. So there's like, there's a little bit of like chaos in between, like there just is like when you're dating. I'm not saying like we were chaotic or anything like that. It's, there's like the uncertainties of it. And it's not like, we're one flesh now. Like we're kind of moving on the same wavelength. Before it's like, she was living her own life, I was living my own life. And then we were trying to incorporate the coffee company in between those two tangents. And yeah, I think that, it was trying to fit 3 schedules in instead of, now it's, our regular schedules and then the coffee schedule.
Yeah. And so, sorry, I had a question and then sometimes they just like disappear.
Oh, you're good. You're all good.
But what are some of your like biggest, actually, here, let me ask a different question first. What are some ways, that you've seen God show up in your business, and then some of the things that he's taught you through it?
I actually have something that came right to mind whenever you said that. We have, just through the types of events that we've done, like we do Christian events, but we also do, festivals, farmers markets, things like that. So we meet any and everyone. And it's been super cool because the variety of people, for one, people who aren't Christian, that we have gotten to meet. And like, there's been a couple times where like they'll walk by, we're the only coffee option, and I can tell like they're hesitating, like, do I actually want to go get coffee from them or not? But it's been cool because we're like, hey, how's it going? Just normal, like, come on up here. We want to serve you. And I could just, I feel like there's been so many times where we just see the walls come down, and they're like, oh, they're normal. Like, let's just get some coffee from them. And that has led us into so many awesome conversations with unbelievers and just people who might be curious about Christianity and Christ. And it's just been so cool because we've met so many people. And I think that was one of the things we didn't necessarily expect with it because it is a Christian coffee company. Our main community are other Christians, but we've really been able to reach so many non-believers.
I feel like we've reached more non-believers than we have
which is the goal.
Believers.
Ultimately.
Which has been really
That's
cool.
the primary goal for us. So it's been really cool to see people like their walls come down and really just be open and just watch like Christ move through those interactions has been so cool.
Yeah, and then lessons. I think about this all the time, but the Bible verse, like, he who is faithful with little will be faithful with much. Just like I said, like, we needed those lessons when we started out to, like, kind of grow. I feel like God will, like, a Christian business will usually start really small. And until you're really faithful and you kind of have all your processes down, you're doing everything you can to make sure that you're doing the best you can at this small stage, then God will start to like get you up here. And then once you're like perfect at this level, you're like being a good steward at this level, then he'll take you up to here. And that's, that's something that we constantly are like reminding ourselves of. And we're just trying to be good stewards. And I feel like that's, because God's our manager. So we're just trying to be, the faithful stewards of his, like, this is pretty much his business, but we're just trying to be a good steward of, the levels he has us at. So that, we can get to the point that we want to get to with the company.
I love that. And what are some of your like main goals and things you want to do with the company?
Yeah. Our ultimate goal is to have a coffee shop and multiple shops, if possible. But that is our main goal, and that's what we're working towards. Some of the other goals that we have like currently that we're working on is we're actually like working on a new build of our cart. So it's easier to travel with and go to further places, and just upgrading machinery, looking at nicer equipment. And so we're just trying to take it like one step at a time and like focus on where he has us now, but keep the ultimate goal in mind for the future. And so that's our main goal, is to get a coffee shop. And I think some of the things that we definitely want to incorporate in our coffee shop is like having Bible studies, and that's really been what we have been trying to work on, of like, let's, go ahead and plan out now, like what we want to have in our shop in the future, because Lord willing, whenever that happens, we want to be ready and prepared for that time. So we've been planning out, like, what do we want it to look like? What do we want it to have? What are some elements that we want in there?
That's such a good point.
Yeah.
What comes to mind is like in the book of Habakkuk, it says, make the vision clear. And I feel like that's something we've really been working on, is trying to make our vision clear so that, we're taking proactive steps to reach that. Because otherwise, we're kind of just like
Yeah.
going all over until like, we get to a final destination. I feel like it really helps to have a vision.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've touched on this throughout like a lot of the stuff that you've been saying, but what are very like specific ways that you guys incorporate your faith into your company?
Um, I feel like it's just like our whole name being Christian Coffee Company. It's like, kind of right there. But,
Mhm.
we try to, specific things we've done is we'll write, Bible verses on people's coffee cups. Um, we offer to pray with people. We really try to connect with people genuinely so that we can, incorporate Christ in their life and, disciple people around us and just love the people that God puts into our life.
Yeah, I
Do
feel
you
like
have any
it's,
other specific examples though?
I don't know, I think it's really just like natural, like, kind of who we are. And as long as like we are, adhering to God's will for our life, I feel like it just flows through our business too. But like some of the key principles for us is we always say like we want to use God-given ingredients and, give you quality coffee. And so a part of like our company is that for all of our syrups that we use in our coffee, they are only made from natural sweeteners. So like honey, maple syrup, things like that. So we're always recipe testing, and that's like a really big just point of our company of like we always want to serve you God-given ingredients that are the best thing for you. We care about the consumer and the customer, and yeah, I would say that we do the Bible verses on our cup. We're always like every week we try to offer like prayer requests on our Instagram and things like that, and we try to go on prayer walks every week to pray over our customers and anyone who submits that in. But yeah, I feel like it's just part of our company and part of who we are, and we have some of those like main principles that we always will like adhere to and make sure that we're following to make sure that we are giving people the best experience. So yeah.
I love that. And like you were saying, I love how you were saying that it is natural with, your own faith and when you're following Christ, it does come naturally. Because I think, at least for myself, and I know for other people, that sometimes you can overthink it of be like, okay, well, how do I make sure that it's glorifying God and all these things, which again, not a bad question to be asking
Exactly.
yourself, but it does come naturally when you are faithfully following the Lord and what he's called you to and following the Bible. So I really like how you said that. That was really
Yeah,
cool.
thank you. Yeah, no, we get that with like overthinking because we're like,
Yeah.
well, we want to make sure we're glorifying God, which again, it's not a bad thing, but it is so easy. And I'm sure for other Christians and their business and things like that, that's probably really tough because it's like you're trying to include Christ, but it's like, wait, that's just me and my relationship with God. Like, I don't need to overcomplicate it. Like, as long as I'm seeking the Lord and doing what I need to do with Him, like, the rest will fall through and, just follow that plan. But yeah, sometimes it's so easy to, like, oh, am I doing the right thing? Am I doing the right thing? But, doing what He wants for me. But at the end of the day, as long as we're seeking Him, He makes our path straight. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And so this is like more of like a fun question, but what has been like your favorite recipe to curate?
Oh, oh gosh. For me personally, so I really love our date caramel latte. So that is our date caramel syrup is like one of my favorites. I also love honey lavender. So that's like a floral, but everyone's different if they like that. But I really like floral coffees, and so that's been one that I have really loved.
Yeah.
How about you?
Well, she's the recipe queen, So, I mean, out of all of the ones that she's made, I'd say probably the honey lavender is like the most unique. That people either like it or they don't. Is not usually an in between, but like I just think it's just so good, and I never knew that something that was lavender flavor could taste that good. Personally, I'm a little biased because it is my company, or our company, but. Yeah, I definitely have to say honey lavender. I think it's really neat.
And you were a big like black coffee Folgers straight guy.
Yeah, I was like the
Whenever we first
typical
met,
like
I
man's
feel
man
like.
of like black coffee, no
Mhm.
milk,
And now I've
no
got
sugar.
him on everything
I would
else.
go to Starbucks and order like a pike, and it was just like straight
Mhm.
black coffee. And now it's like sitting here drinking like a super like flavorful latte, and that's like the only thing I can have. I can't drink black coffee anymore. Thanks to your recipes, yeah.
Yeah, but
Bad
that,
problem to have, right?
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
right. But yeah, we try to make all of our syrups to where like they still highlight the coffee flavor. Like we want our coffee to be so good that you can drink it on its own, but for people who,
Mhm.
want to get a latte and want to add in flavor, like it just enhances it more and it's still, all natural and really good for you and it still tastes great. And I swear we prefer it over going to a lot of shops. Like
Yeah.
it once you like I feel like we've made the change. Like, wait, this is better and great. So I don't know, biased too, but I love it.
That's awesome. And what is one thing that you guys feel like if you could tell yourself starting out that you would want them to like yourselves to know? Yeah.
Me personally, it'd probably be that good things take time. I thought that we would be, not that we're not in a good place now, or that we weren't even when we started, but I thought that it would come around much quicker, and also just to like take in every moment. We had some really good points of our coffee company, and I feel like I didn't fully enjoy it because I was still so goal oriented in the future that I was looking to the future instead of like enjoying where I was at. Um, so I definitely say just enjoy each step and just understand that even with the good and the bad things, that God has such good lessons in all of it. So yeah, just enjoy where you're at now.
Yeah, I completely agree. Honestly, that's the same for me. I feel like, yeah, sometimes you expect to like pop off right whenever you start out, which I think is, and sometimes that happens for people, which is amazing. And I think though, especially as Christians, like if God put something on your heart and, we're called to obey, and this is, something, a purpose and driven mission that like we know that we're pursuing, that it is going to take time and that's okay. And even if it, it speeds up in certain times and seasons of life, that's okay. But to continue like sticking to the mission and just obeying where he's called us to go. And I feel like, again, yeah, it's so easy to want to look to the future and go fast and try to just get to the next point, but just being really present and also just stewarding with what we have. I think that's what changed it for me, of like knowing we're stewards of this business and like the way that we go about this is really important now for our future. And so we're going to get there one day. It does, but where we're at now is so important too, and such like a great responsibility that we have. And so it's like an honor now looking at it, to be able to steward this business. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. And what what area of Kentucky are you guys in?
Northern Kentucky.
Okay. Or do you have
Oh,
go ahead,
sorry, go
sorry.
ahead.
No, you can go.
We're like right across the river from Cincinnati, so we're like very northern Kentucky, but we have
Yeah.
family that's eastern and southern Kentucky.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then do you have any like upcoming places that you'll be at or anything like that where people in the area who might not know about you could come, who might listen, could go check you out?
Yeah, so we right now have, because we've been in the build of our like new cart, we have taken off like January and February, but our goal is to have it done by the end of February so we can kind of regroup on our events in March. But I think that we're going to be at, why am I blanking off the top of my head right now? Oh, the Fort Thomas flea market that's in northern Kentucky. We're preparing to be there in, I think it's in June and August. We have that, but we post our schedule. We pretty much plan out our events for all of the year. So we have ones for even in the fall already planned, but we post our schedule to find out where we're at, because we're always getting like messages and questions to go to like private events too. We post it on our Instagram, and we have like a highlight section that says where we'll be for our schedule and our events. But yeah, we'll be at a couple farmers markets in Fort Thomas, and we have a couple private events.
Yeah, some local businesses have reached out to us.
Yeah.
We don't want to say they're final yet because they're not final.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely, if there's anyone local that's listening, just our Instagram has the schedule.
Yeah.
Best place to find it.
Yeah. And we take like private events too for businesses, weddings, things like that. So if you are local and interested, or not local, we do travel. So if you are interested, shoot us a message.
Please
or an
give us
email.
a reason to.
Yeah, we love to travel, so we definitely would love to go. But yeah, we'll have our entire year's schedule up on our Instagram for public events.
Awesome. And I will put your guys' Instagram and everything in the show notes. Okay. So all that will be there. And then my last question that I ask everybody is, how can we be praying for you?
I think I've said several times today, probably just that we're good stewards with what we have. Not only just with our business, but something I've been trying to be better at is being a good steward with the testimonies Christ has given me, and good stewards of the gift of Christ in general with the people around me. So maybe just pray that, we are good stewards with our business, and that we are actively sharing the message of Christ to as many people as we can.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah. Just prayer for being able to share more stories with people, and just growth in this next season of where we're going and what all God's doing for us. As just prayer for all the things that He has in store, and that we would be prepared and ready.
Awesome. Well, I'll be praying for you. And I know my listeners are always praying too. Thank you guys so much for listening to this week's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it, because I definitely did. These are just such amazing people. I had so much fun talking to them, and I am so excited for you guys to hear their story. And if you're in the area, go check them out. I should be going to Kentucky. I should just go and see them. That would be so much fun. So anyways, check them out. All their stuff is linked below. So is all the Talk Busy with Lizzy stuff. So go check all that out. I'll see you guys for next week's episode. Have a great rest of your week, and God bless.